Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. Well, today I'm doing a full in-depth review of a watch that is rather well known online, and it's well known to be one of the best value homages of a particular watch. This one here is the Tisell 9015 Explorer style watch, and it's all in the name there about what it is homaging. And a lot of people online have said if you're looking at value for money versus quality, these guys from Tisell make the best value homage of this watch. So this is something that I've been rather interested to get my hands on, something that I've been rather interested in owning and wearing, and something that I've been quite interested in featuring on the channel. And if you are interested in buying it, well, the best price I've found online is 320 euros. It is the kind of watch that you can shop around for a bit. It has also been out there on the market for a while, so there might be some used versions that are worthwhile picking up, but just look out there, look online, check out eBay, check out other websites. If you are interested, check out other reviews as well, because it's really good to have as much knowledge as possible before buying a watch. And guys, if you're watching my channel, you're enjoying the content, which I really hope you are, because I stick in a lot of effort to create these videos, well, I'd really appreciate that since I put all this effort in, that perhaps you just click on that subscribe button, because it makes a huge difference to me, to the channel, and it's a really easy and free thing for you guys to do. But that's enough of that. Let's flip the camera around now and let's check out this Tisell Explorer style homage watch. So here we have the Tisell 9015 Explorer 39mm. Does come in a couple of other sizes, but I like the 39. I think it sort of suits my wrist, and it was the one that I really wanted to experience with this Tisell brand. The packaging itself is actually pretty good, fairly simple. Just a sort of simple sort of cardboard box with a bit of a PU leather, big cushion inside, Tisell branding. Certainly perfectly fine at this sort of price, that price being 320 euros for this particular one. Now, I did pick this one up on the used market, so it was a little bit cheaper because they have been out for a while, and if you are interested in one of these ones, it might be worth having a bit of a scouring of the internet, eBay, etc. to find one at a good price on the used market. But I completely understand why you'd want to buy this one new, because at 320 euros, I think you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're getting a piece of flat sapphire crystal with AR coating. You're getting a high beat, no ghost state position Miyota 90S5 movement. It's all stainless steel, solid end links, solid construction of the bracelet, nice solid clasp, 100 meters of water resistance, and you're getting obviously a very good looking watch. And if you are interested in a watch that looks like this, that is homaging this style of watch, this watch really is known to be one of the best value, best quality examples to pick up. But what are you exactly getting besides what's sort of written on the stat sheet? Well, you're getting a very nice piano black style dial, really nice sort of reflective surface. You can actually see the shadows of the hands casting on that really glossy background there, which I think is really, really cool. Getting a implied indices, upside down triangle at the 12. You obviously getting the 3, 6, and 9. All polished stainless steel with Loom inside of it. Hands, obviously the Mercedes style that we are expecting, all polished again with Loom filled. There is some printing on the dial, as you can see, Tisell, water resistant 100 meters, as well as that minute track with the slightly thicker markers at the each individual hour. And that's all that is on there. When you look up underneath at that sort of chapter rehort, that is a sort of a brushed stainless steel. It's quite deep, which is quite nice because it then gives a bit of a reflection off those indices as well as those markers, and being slightly deeper gives us that nice shadowing onto the dial, or reflection on the dial, as I previously mentioned. You're also getting some really nice Loom, lots of Loom inside the indices, the numbers, and the hours. It is BGW9, so let's check it out. It is a good quality Loom. It does actually last quite significantly throughout the night, and certainly if you are a Loom lover, then this one is not too bad at all. Now, the case has a mixture of surfaces which continues that light play. Like that light play that we have on that very nice shiny dial, we have some light play on the case itself. We have a polished stainless steel bezel insert, transitions into some brushing onto the top of the lugs, and back to polishing on the sides of the case. That also continues with a brushing on the stainless steel bracelet here, and some brushing on the sides as well. And the dimensions of this watch are worth noting, because 39 to me sounds like the perfect size for this particular watch. Lovely 39 millimeters, which it is. It is a 39 millimeter case diameter. It is only 12.2 millimeters wide, which I think is perfectly acceptable at this one here. Lug to lug is exactly what we were hoping for, of 46.8 millimeters. However, there is a dimension that then sticks out much, much further. You can see there are male end links on there, and they do stick out quite far, and they don't curve down too much. They do start to curve down, which does help it conform to wrist, but that ends up being 53.6 millimeters, that's a big dimension. We then have a 20 millimeter lug width. The bracelet then transitions down to 16 millimeters. So there is quite a nice sort of transition there when sitting on the wrist. And now set up for me, it also then weighs in at 134 grams. We are getting 100 meters of water resistance with this one, which is a lovely water resistance for this style watch. And we achieved that through a screw down crown. As you can see, the crown has the Tisell T on there, nice and easy to grab onto, screw down. Being the Miyota movement, we do have hand winding. We don't have a ghosted position because there's no date, but we also do have hacking, which is fantastic. Now, let's check out this Miyota 90S5 on the time grapher and see how this one is performing. So here we have a reasonable set of figures, 28,800 vibrations, so it's a high beat movement, minimal beat error, amplitude's perfectly fine, and it's running just a little bit slow. With that sort of figures, I'm very, very happy, well within the specs of this particular movement, and I'm finding these sort of high beat Miyota movements particularly nice at the moment. I am sort of being drawn towards them, and I think for what you're getting for that high beat movement, the quality of it, the reliability of it, and the performance of it, I can understand now why so many sort of micro brands are using this movement. But let's check out this bracelet because it is particularly nice. As I mentioned, they are solid end links and they fit okay. There's a little bit of movement there. There's a little bit of movement there. Not as good as I would hope, but certainly it's perfectly acceptable at this sort of price range. Transition is actually really nice, but they do stand out quite far. But it does then transition into a nice feeling, very comfortable sort of on wrist, no sharp edges, fully brushed on the top. We got sort of polished on the sides. We got screw links, which is good to see. And then we got this really nice clasp. Obviously this is a Homage clasp, but it is a clasp that works really well. Very nice and easy to open, all milled inside. And we have this sort of gliding style adjustment. And there's a huge amount of adjustment, which is fantastic. You can see there, it's all the way from there all the way up to there. It's at least like 2 or 3 links worth of adjustment. So you're absolutely going to get a really nice sort of adjustment. And what I do like about this style is that as you're adjusting it, it's the bracelet coming out all the way. There's no sort of weird sort of end link there. You just see the bracelet no matter whether it's right at the end or whether it's right all the way inside of it. So it's a really nice style of clasp. I do enjoy this on the fly adjustment, especially when it's done very well like that. On the back of the watch there, you can see it's a sterile case back, but there is a mixture of a couple of different finishes, some brushing as well as some polishing. And overall, I'm actually rather impressed with how it sits on wrist. It's a very comfortable watch, does sit nicely, even though it's got those very long lug to lug, or the effective lug to lug, does sit down okay. Does sort of curve down, as you can see there. There's a little bit of a gap there, but that's perfectly fine. But because it has that quite long lug to lug, you do end up seeing a little bit of the tops of the bracelet there, at least at my sort of size wrist, that being 6 3/4, but not so much that it sort of distracts from it. Some watches like this, where you see you can have this really solid sort of end look of the lugs there, or the end look of the bracelet, which can look a little bit odd. This one's not too bad. It's a little bit noticeable, but not too noticeable. Certainly feels really nice on wrist, a very comfortable and easy watch to wear on wrist. I can understand why this sort of style and the watch that this is homaging is so popular, because it's just a very nice looking, everyday sort of looking watch and very nice to have on wrist. So what do I like about this watch? What don't I like about it? And what would I change? Well, first of all, the quality of it is certainly noticeable. This is certainly a better quality watch than many other sort of homage watches that I've tried. And in this price range, I think it sort of fits that budget really well. Certainly feels like you're getting value for money. So that's kind of the next thing. The value for money certainly seems to tick the boxes of quality as well as affordability. So it's a really good balance between both of those. And it comes with a really nice movement, as I've been mentioning. I really quite like these high beat Miyota movements. I think it really ticks some boxes of affordability and performance, as well as just being a really nice on the wrist sort of experience. So I'm really enjoying that. I do like the clasp. I like that on the fly adjustment, and there's so much in regards to this one. There's so much on the fly adjustment. Everybody's going to appreciate that, I think. However, there's a few things that I don't love about it, or perhaps take away from it a little bit. It does not make me dislike this watch, but there's a few little things. Those male end links are particularly big, and that is going to be a problem for some people. For me, I think at my sort of medium-sized wrist, I do get away with it. But if you had a smaller wrist than me, I think that would start to become a problem. And that would be easily fixed if they put female end links on this one. It also seems to be missing a little bit of character. I think that has partly to do with the style of watch. It's not designed to be a fancy or a wow factor watch. I think it's designed to be an everyday watch. However, I think there's a few things they could do to make it a little bit more sort of interesting or have a little bit more character. Firstly, those indices, they are applied, but they're very, very thin. And I think if they actually added a little bit more 3D texture to them, raised them a little bit more, made them a little bit thicker, it would give a little bit more depth to the dial and make it stand out a little bit more. Now, I understand this is a Homage watch, so they are sort of homaging the case back as well as the clasp, but I'd love to see something on the back there. I understand it is sort of meant to be a plain case back, but hey, this is not exactly the watch that it is homaging. It's trying to be itself as well as homaging a watch. How about you put a little bit of character on there? I'd also love to, with the same with the clasp, put the Tisell T there, just give it something, join it all together. I think that would sort of bring it together a bit more of a cohesive sort of package there. I would prefer it that way. So they are the things I would change. Make those indices a little bit deeper, female end links, add a little bit more character by putting a little bit something on the back and on the clasp. But overall, that aside, doesn't take away from the watch. I certainly now understand why so many people are talking about this being probably the best homage for this watch in regards to quality, performance, and price. But let's flip the camera back to me now, and let's give you some of my final thoughts. So I absolutely understand why people are talking about this watch, why they are saying that value for money, this is a good watch. Because not only is the quality good, the looks are good, the movement is good, but the price is also very reasonable, especially when you start comparing it to other watches. And it's a question that I ask myself every single time I buy a watch. I ask myself, for the same money, what else could I buy? And when I'm looking at a watch at this sort of look, because obviously if you're buying this watch, you want a watch that looks a lot like this, well, it's very competitive, especially when you consider the quality and the movement that comes with it. So I completely understand why so many people are pointing this one out as a go-to for people who are wanting a homage to this watch. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch all my videos. And guys, if you've stuck around to this part of the video, I really appreciate you sticking around all the way to the end. As always, thank you so much for watching. I do hope to see you in the next video.